Oh yes, blessed love. Welcoming you into the tiger's nest. The Battle of Arawa. As we celebrate from such time 1896. 63rd anniversary of the conquest. Blessed love to each and everyone. Give thanks for your presence with us in the tiger's nest and glorify as we are thankful, as I said at this hour, being officially the first day of March, according to the Gregorian calendar 20 and 21, as we are even reminiscing the Battle of Arawa at this hour and giving thanks for the meditation we are holding. Honorable Priest Isaac here with you, glorifying Emperor Haile Selassie first in all good doings and sayings. So we're thankful at this hour as we reminisce, and we will be going into a very nice reasoning in a few moments as it relates to the Battle of Adwa, and even some connection with this being the 63rd anniversary of the Congress, the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress Church of True Divine Salvation, established 1958. And of course, that is in Jamaica, the 1st to the 21st of March, such celebration. And as I said, there is a unique link between both events. There is a unique link between the characters that stand at the helm of these events. I mean, the great Menelik II and the Honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards as well. So give thanks for your presence with us. Of course, this is the tiger's nest that you're setting into, related to the shock of the hour, the mystic vibration and all works that has to be fulfilled. Just reminding, of course, each and everyone that the online lecture is still online. I'm talking about healthy living for both male and female. And this will be presented by the Right Honorable Priest Kailash Leons. As I said, this is an online lecture, and this will be this Saturday. It is this Saturday now. I'm talking about the 6th of March, 2021, and the time will be 7:30 p.m. Eastern Caribbean time, which is 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the admission for this mighty event is only 25 United States dollars currency. So you get all your health questions answered. In fact, when you pay and you get your receipt for this event, you would be given you'll be given the chance really to ask a question, a health question, which we will pass on to the Honorable Priest Kailash Leons, who I definitely intend to have as a visitor to the program in a few short moments, maybe a few short hours too, even before our gathering on Saturday. So your questions, once you get your ticket, you ask your questions, we send that question on, and the Honorable Priest will somehow put that within the presentation that he'll be making. But don't get me wrong here, that doesn't mean you're not in a position to ask the question even on the evening. So we are honored to have such a communication, and that is this Saturday, the 6th of March, 2021. And of course, you know, you can make your payments via the Cash App, Atonra, ATONRA 2723, and if that will be in the description. The link will be in the description below. And of course, if there is any concern wherein you cannot use Cash App or whatever, you can just email us at priestisaac27@gmail.com. And of course, you know, the spring equinox, by now I'm sure you've got the word that the actual literal flying in and flying out equinox has been cancelled again because of Mr. Corona and Mrs. COVID. Oh no, that's Mr. COVID and Mrs. Corona. I have it mixed up there for the moment. But of course, it is still on. The virtual tour is still on. Specifically, that is 3 mighty tours. Of course, the hike, the sunrise and the sunset hike to Green Castle Hill among the megaliths. In fact, even prior to that, we'll be anyway. Let me leave that for now. That'll carry me too far. But for sure, the sunrise and the sunset hike definitely, of course, amongst the megaliths. It's the second best thing. I mean, it's not like being there, but I mean, it's the second best thing, and I can promise you that the experience is definitely worth it. So for sure, that is the 18th, the 19th, and the 21st day of March. So you still got a few more days ahead of you if you want to be a part of that. Remember, the full package is just $120. And today being the 1st of March, really, today is really the well, they call it deadline, but nobody's dying around here, ain't killing nobody. Is the seal update. Today would have been the seal update for that special. You get the full ticket for 100. This is in full association with Rastafari Experience Antigua, which is a company that I am associated with, different than the Priest Isaac's Institute of Holistic Knowledge. I just like to show my family what's going on so they really get the realms of it. That is me and the Honorable Rastre, who are the forefront of this enterprise here. And of course, we are the custodians as it relates to a specific project that is carried out by the Department of the Environment as it relates to Green Castle Hill. So this is no joke thing that you see us doing here. It's not a fun game. It's actually a part of the whole establishment of the preservation of Green Castle Hill. And those of you who are close to the message would understand the seriousness of even why we do even this. So just to give you a better understanding, just for your own understanding, to comprehend how serious the work is. Yeah, man, if we go deep into it, this is life and death. I'm telling you. But anyway, on the lighter side, yeah, for sure, you don't know how you go. You can email us at priestisaac27@gmail.com for more information. And you don't know how the rest of the story is. I want to get to this one right now. So, of course, it's the Battle of Arawa. When the chance starts, it's the Battle of Arawa. Oh, and of course, for those who have been, where's the chalice? Yeah, those who have been asking of the chalice, of course, for sure, definitely available. We can ship the chalice to wherever you are in the earth specifically. Of course, again, the contact is always the same, priestisaac27@gmail.com, priestisaac27@gmail.com, and you definitely, get a nice child. I'll be definitely displaying some of them for you in a few programs from now. Definitely the 1st of March is the celebration of the Battle of Arawa. Of course, many would know of the Battle of Arawa. Even before the Battle of Arawa is a program we did a few, I think it's last year, on the Battle of Dogale. And Dogale now was like a pre-Battle of Arawa, where the Europeans were wiped out within minutes, like within 5 minutes. Several hundreds were taken down. The Battle of Dogali, that's in Ethiopia as well. So, and as I said, we did a whole program on that. That's something you can easily look up. But now when it comes to the Battle of Adwa now, that as well was a very decisive victory. Many people would compare the Battle of Adwa with the invasion of Mussolini and the Italians in the time of Haile Selassie I being the emperor of Ethiopia. And of course, I mean, the Battle of Arawa was almost over in like a day or so. It's a day. The 1st of March is a victory. But I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a climax of the war. It's a real battle, really, as such. But the time frame and the decisive victories is just, unanimous defeat, them kind of thing, knockout. Exactly. Now, of course, we know that the war as it relates to Mussolini and the Italian-Ethiopian War prolonged for like 5 years plus. We comprehend that. So that was a different thing altogether. And the casualties were immense on the side of the Ethiopians, at least at the beginning. At the end, it kind of got leveled off. Of course, you know how the story ended up. But that was a different war, you understand? And that's why even sometimes in our passion, we would tell you, hey, listen, with all the respect we have for all the great ones, I don't think nobody could have been in the position of Haile Selassie the First when in history as it relates to that war and could have got through. It wasn't just guns, bombs, not even just the will of the Ethiopians. It was a shrewd leader. It was a shrewd mind. It needed a mind to be on that throne at that time to secure that independence. So everything was really in the order. Menelik II was the mind, and Ras Mokenet for the time of the Battle of Arawa. And the emperor is right there. Even as a child of 4 years old, you read the autobiography of the emperor. He had great understanding and wise mind from an early age. So in all ways, he's already there during the time of the Battle of Adwa. We are speaking of 1896. So basically, for those who may not know, this is one of the invasions of the Italians upon the people of Abyssinia, what we would refer to as Ethiopia at this moment and this time. And again, I mentioned that even after this, they tried it again in 1935 when they invaded an area known as Walwal. That's really where it began in October. I think it was the 3rd. We're around the 3rd or the 5th of October. And as I said, that was a different war compared to this war. You understand? But yet still there's certain things about both wars that stand out because within both cases, Menelik, just like the Emperor Haile Selassie I, managed to gather even tribes and factions that had disputes amongst each other. Religious boundaries and so were put aside when Italy invaded Ethiopia. In general, that's the spirit of the Ethiopians, really, and it's unity in general. Even Johannes, I think it's the fourth. What is this? What it is the son of King Johannes. There's an emperor named Johannes, and his son. The Emperor Johannes was the emperor before Menelik, and his son had a little, what you would say, beef with Menelik. That's what they would call it. So there was a little tug of war for obvious reasons. And he came to Menelik and told Menelik that with the invasion of the Italians, he put aside all rivalry, and his army is Menelik's army. You check it. You see what's going on. So that's the kind of mentality the Ethiopians have. That's a good mentality for a lot of us to meditate on. He trying to get back his father crown as he see it, but the Italians coming in, maybe somebody else will say, yeah, that's good. Let me go and side with the Italians. A few people try that too, in both wars. A few people try that. Not that much, because even the emperor says in his autobiography at a specific point, he made mention of some situation where he said only a few of our soldiers turned camp or something of the sort, but betrayed and left their post and went to the other side. So in majority, there's a loyalty amongst the Ethiopians. So they came together. That is the rallying call. So you had Christians, Muslim, and other people, tribal people that not into none of the above, and they came to the cry at the Battle of Adwa. So at the same time now, as I said, the defeat, just kind of giving you an understanding the whole marshalling of it, because you had different generals. Rasmussen is one of the generals. But then at the same time, we have to even remember Empress Taitu. For Empress Taitu herself would have been the general of maybe about 20 to 30,000 soldiers. You know, she has a special part in this war as well. You know, it is said that there was a specific battle within the battle that she crushed, you know, and this only happened. Apparently, they were getting a heavy defeat, a kind of pullback. And she went to a specific place and she prayed, you understand? And I think they erected a chapel there. She went to the place and she prayed, and they brought down the battle. And this is something that I saw some Ethiopian elders recounting on a documentary, speaking of an African victory, the Battle of Arawa. It is in Amharic, and some of you may have seen it. And it was the translation would have said the story that I just put forward, you know. So she, Empress Taitu, also being very vigilant in the treaty that the Italians tried to bring in, you know, pretending to make peace. There's a specific treaty. We got a program on that as well, you know, in the Shock of the Hour radio program called the Treaty of Wuchali. At Wuchali, the Italians came in with a document, you know, saying, hey, listen, man, we're brothers, we love you. And, you know, I mean, pat on the back and cherry pie and, you know, and I'm paraphrasing, obviously, some serious paraphrasing there. But of course, they were given diplomatic agreements. And this is what I'm going to do. This is what you're going to do. And we're going to live together. We're going to build railroads. And you're going to send your students. And we're going to send ours. And we're not going to fight each other. And share alike. And tax and this and trade and everything cool and nice. That's basically what it was all about. It's a treaty. And we're going to live in peace. So the Italians, there were two. There was an Italian version, and there was an Ethiopian version, at least as it relates to the language in Amharic and in Italian. But within the Italians' treaty, there was something treaty really going on there, some cheaty going on in there. So that's how we would say it in dialect, not cheaty. Yeah, that's exactly how we'd say it, the sign of cheating. That's exactly how we would say it, the sign of cheating. So somebody cheated somebody there, because in the Italian version, in the Ethiopian version, it would have said something to the sort of that the Italians would have, you know, permission to represent Ethiopia. They had the rights to represent Ethiopia internationally with the permission of the Ethiopian monarchy and the Ethiopian government. That's how it looked in the Ethiopian one. But in the Italian part of the treaty, it says that the Italians have exclusive rights, like nobody can stop them to represent Ethiopia when it comes to international affairs in the international arena. So what you see there now is a treaty for true. And Empress Taitu, not just on the battlefield, you know, but even on the diplomatic stage, she was the one that cited it. She was the one that picked it up, you know, and put the Italians to even more shame again. So you understand, even it's the same thing even when the British came in and assisted and the other forces. And that's another thing, we cannot lose track of that. People like to say the British came in and drove out the Italians. It was a combined allied force action taking place there, led by the British. But I still don't see if anyone understands, not anyone, of course, a lot of people understand the science, but a lot of ones miss it. You know, again, it was a shrewd mind. Imagine you get England to come and kick out Italy. It was a shrewd mind. It took a shrewd mind, and it wasn't England come and kick out Italy again. That's enough. That's another aspect of the argument we got to be careful with. Because even the Ethiopian soldiers would tell you that when they came in trying to resist the Italians, they had a hard time. That's the British. Because they were kind of sidestepping the Ethiopian soldiers. This is Ethiopian soldiers accounting this. They were trying to sidestep the Ethiopian soldiers, and the Ethiopian soldiers are saying, hey, listen, it's not your guns, man. We've been holding these people back ever since, because they never conquered Ethiopia, and you need to get that proper. There was a symbolic conquering, as some of the historians say, in Addis Ababa, and the rest of Ethiopia, they didn't got no hand, no way there. If thanks for man like Ras Imru, you understand, who was there from day one to day done. Yeah. And the point I'm making, and I'm speaking of the war in the 1930s. So I'm saying that they did not have Ethiopia in the way that maybe history would want to portray. And the Allied armies now that came in, even with the Black African forces that came in with them, because you have to understand this was a strategic war. It's not just, Britain coming, as how we put it, real sort of, slack way of thinking. But when they came in now, what happened now is that you have the British, yes, and the South African army and these different ones. All of these are part of it. So yeah, if you understand the dynamics to push out the Italians, but they could not do it without the zeal of the Ethiopians. So that is why they had to start to hand the Ethiopians all the proper weaponry. That is what really happened. So it's the Ethiopians. And what happened there was just international justice and international law that they had buried. But it took the shrewd mind of Emperor Haile Selassie I to resurrect it and bring it to action. And that is what most of the world miss. So in the Battle of Arawa now, even Mr. Pankhurst, in his account, he even spoke of, at the time, Ethiopia had modern rifles equal to or even better than the Italians. That's what he said. That's Pankhurst. And of course, the Pankhurst from the Sylvia Pankhurst family. But the tanks and otherwise, the Italians would have been masters of that, the tanks of the days. So you would notice, or the cannons, I should say, not the tanks, cannons. He specified the cannons. And even in this artistry, this artwork, you actually see something similar. And the Ethiopians on the battlefield outnumbered the Italians as well. So even the history here is, in this artwork, is quite precise, really, in the artwork. And what you have here is St. George coming down. So you see St. George has joined the battle. This is the great St. George, the patron saint of the Ethiopian church. So he has joined the battle against the Italians. So it's just the reality of it. See all the soldiers here band together. Look, we all here with all of our guns shooting back. And decisive victory at the Battle of Adwa. If you look in the background, this is a rendition, I believe, of the emperor there, Emperor Menelik, and this is the general of the army that would be General Crispy, I will believe, at the time. But this one specifically is the Battle of Adwa. So give thanks for that victory there, and Royal Menelik Empress title, and of course at the same time Ras Mokened, which is the father of Emperor Haile Selassie I, again one of the chief generals, really, or the chief general outside of the emperor himself, Menelik II, which is the Battle of Adwa. This victory also really yeah, catapulted Ethiopia on the world scene as well. And there was a certain level of respect that was given, even more so, to Ethiopia and the Emperor of Ethiopia. I'm speaking of Menelik II. Of course, you would know that Rasmussen also went to the coronation of King Edward VII. Interesting. And King Edward VII, if you know the history, when he was to be coronated, he fell ill. And Rasmussen brought a cross from the Ethiopian church for King Edward VII, or I think he brought it for the church itself as an offering to the church, pardon me, an offering to the church. And he went and he prayed and asked that, that the Almighty be merciful, because if he was to return to his country, Ethiopia, and something was to happen to Edward VII, he would be like the harbinger of bad news, according to what the storyline says. And or did he give him the cross? But anyway, there's a cross involved. And the story went on. Edward got well, and the seventh got well, and the whole coronation went through. And in fact, no, the cross is in the church, because the emperor said, Haile Selassie, that when he visited England, they showed him the cross that his father brought, and that healed Edward VII. Real stuff. That's real stuff, I'm telling you there, yeah, so Edward VII, the King of England. So really, understanding the science again, give thanks. Rasmussen is a very serious individual as it relates to this whole vibration itself. We celebrate again the 63rd, it's 63 years, isn't it? From 1958 to 2001. Yeah. So we celebrate the 63rd anniversary of the formation of the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress Church of True Divine Salvation. Interesting, eh? The 1st of March as well, the Battle of Arawa and the Congress, being established at the very, very same time, not the exact, but the date, the March and the 1st, because it's a cosmic day, 1st of March. In some calendars, is seen as the beginning of a new year. I think, let's see, there's an Egyptian calendar that begins the 1st of March with 30 days, if I'm not mistaken, in each of the months. Each month, 30 days. But of course, that's just a calendar from a period. There are different calendars from different times, so let's not get caught like that. But that's for sure, the 1st of March has stood out as a new year. So, of course, in 1958, the first Nyabingi itself was called Nyabingi Gathering. The newspapers itself, cited over 3,000 Rastafari gathered in Jamaica, in Kingston, Jamaica, in Bakawa, to celebrate, this formation of the Congress and freedom, redemption, international repatriation was and is and has always been the agenda of this Congress here. Freedom, redemption, and international repatriation. According to the reports that I've even read by Barry Shavins and some of these historians of individual Rex Nettleford and these ones would have spoken of the Congress beginning of that time and the celebration that lasted for 21 days. Feasting and fasting and praying and Nyabingi drumming and a lot of brutality also added to the whole celebration at the end of it. That's how it came to an end. It came to a brutal end. Interesting, eh? Interesting. We can't overlook this. If this lasted for 21 days, I wasn't there, but I'm just relaying the history. If this lasted for 21 days, for Rastaman to have a celebration in Jamaica of that magnitude that lasts for 21 days without any disturbance. With the Guinness Book of World Records. Especially at that time. Man, even now. But at that time, man, even to get in the public, that's why it's called the first Nile Big. This is a sick thing. You see, like how without Rastafari, the world would not know about Haile Selassie. That's the truth. Without, if it wasn't for Rastafari, the Haile Selassie thing would be quiet a long time. That's the truth. Nobody can deny that. Even Marcus Garvey, if it wasn't for Rastafari, the Marcus Garvey thing would have been a shh. Nobody would know too much about no Marcus Garvey. For sure, it's Rastafari keep Marcus Garvey alive. If it wasn't for Bobo Shanti, you hear me? Nobody would know nothing about Prince Emmanuel Charles Edwards. And you may say, well, I mean, what is your God? Is you supposed to promote it? God, who talk, you see? That's where people carry the conversation. Why is just that alone? We talking history here. This is history. History. The first Naya being recognized by the world. Recognized by all the standard historians. When I ask Bongo Flacco, but how come nobody talk about King Emmanuel except Bobo Shanti? He laughed. Because Prince Emmanuel's history is so rich as it relates to Rastafari. But as if, you know what I mean, yeah, they don't know nothing about him. Nothing they have to say. Nothing. I find that sick, eh? I ain't playing with that one, man. Y'all must stop it. Yeah, man, it's not nice. What Bonga Eddie do you? Come on, man. The first Naya Biggie. Yes, 21 days. Shh. And the police come stop that. No police comes. You have, obviously, man, you maybe just think about that. We Rasta can go gather for 21 days. You can't even do that in the bush. And be making all that noise with 3,000 people, much less you come on front line. And we take it simple. Don't take it simple. Do not take it simple. 63 years. Give time. Don't take it simple. Remember how Carroll Gardens end up, eh? And it's before that, all the elders, when you hear the accounts of Carroll Gardens, all the elders tell you, hey, it's Battle of Arawa we are there. All the elders tell you, hey, it's not now they brutalize the Rasta now. It's just that the Carroll Gardens kind of bring it out. Well, that's why you hear ones, not just Bob, a few ones advocate for Bakawal. Some of them same historians, I hear them cry for Bakawal. They say, hey, and don't forget Bakawal. Yeah, check it. Remember the breakdown Bakawal. And don't forget 1958 specifically, because the brutality now was heavy. And you may say, but you just say, you celebrate for 21 days and no police come. But police did come. Yeah, police come, but police come for a reason. Bongo Flacco explained that beautifully for us. And you know, he's the historian there. And other ones would have told of how they broke off Queen Victoria's arm. And interestingly, Prince Emmanuel, although he was beaten to the point where he was considered dead to the point where they carried him to the morgue. Imagine that. I mean, that tells it all. Even though he went through all of that, he was still, should I use the word upset? With those who broke off the statue, because really, that's what he said. And again, Elder Flacco, you know, attested that Yeah, man, Prince Emmanuel said, man, he disappointed that the man they break off the statue arm. And from then time, he just separated himself. That's when Bongo Flap was there. And that's our culture. That's what I know, really. But I'm just using him as an account, so it doesn't sound biased then, you know. Sad that you have to do that all the time, but that's how the world runs now. So I'm just showing you that outside of that, then outside of, because obviously that was something that he would consider being mischievous. Then that's not what he wanted. That's Prince Emmanuel. I'm speaking of the Honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards the seventh, by the way, Edward the seventh. Yeah, but interestingly now, for three whole strongs, man, things going. I wasn't there, but for three whole strong, things rocking. I mean, come on, and I could imagine the police passing and standing up and watching with the hands full, go home and sleep and come back, it's still going on. All right. Maybe the headquarters boss, them and still down there now. It's all right, leave them, it's all right. Well, I don't know, no, because maybe bigger things behind the scene, don't worry, leave it. We have orders from high above that you don't stop this. Maybe it's all that thing, and I don't know. Or maybe it was just because of the reverence, They don't have to get no orders from nowhere. It doesn't have to be no international conspiracy, nothing. It's just that one's looking on and seeing the Rastas in a certain uniformed way and obviously acting peaceful and whatever is taking place. And they decide, okay, leave them alone. Watch them in, but leave them alone. And all of that, you have to look into that if we're dealing with this on a level. We don't just say, oh, it was the first big year, we leave it at that. That's why we can leave it at that, because we're not going into the essence of it. So if somebody from that time tell the story, maybe you feel a different vibes that I can't give you. Somebody may tell you, boy, for the whole tree strong, the police surround us, Because these things have happened too. And I'm just kind of making up a hypothetical scene for you. Boy, the police surround us, especially week tree. Hey, look, a lot of us were afraid, But we hold it out, we hold it out. If them man didn't trouble the statue, brother, man like me, so me could have still walk, whatever kind of thing that right. So I'm just and it's a good it's a good theory to bring up as such a good hypothesis to bring up to highlight that, because I'm sure that would have been the case, because the police not going to just have that going on and not watching it. You understand? So these are powers that has to have been a power to do that, to rock the first big for 21 days. Give thanks, King Emmanuel the seventh. And Donya God, Jah, Rastafari. So heart of celebration to all. Give thanks to the Congress. You know what I mean? And give thanks to the vibes. The whole vibration with Menelik II and King Emmanuel Charles Edwards, even before one's unraveled it. The first time I hear that is a priest named Priest Harold. Priest Harold is the first person. That's the first time I go bullbait. Priest Harold had a big guidance with Menelik. And I said, oh man, we're in Menelik too. Priest Harold said, Menelik is the Honorable King Emmanuel, is the Honorable Menelik II. Okay. Now, obviously, there's a similarity in looking. I don't think that's just, you can't really run away from that. They definitely have a similar look. And interestingly, Menelik, the character Menelik, is a very serious character as well. Because remember, Menelik is the emperor. I would say the official emperor before Emperor Haile Selassie the first. That's very, very key. And Menelik the second, he reigned from 1889. Once you get the pens and pads, because sometimes we like to listen and get entertained. And when we done, it's like, wow. And go and say, boy, this and that. Oh, prove it to me, boy. I can't prove it, boy, but you want to listen to the priest. No, you tell them. Have it written down. Have it clear. Because it's real, Menelik the second now. when he was coronated. (1889), yeah. The 3rd of November. Now remember Haile Selassie coronated the 2nd of November. So again, the science of that time is very important, as we've done programs on that time, 1st, the 2nd, and the 3rd. 1st, the 2nd, and the 3rd. Remember, the emperor got his first title, the Deshmar, you know what I mean, on the 1st of November when he was 13 years old. Highlights that critically, highlights that mystically in his autobiography, crowned the 2nd of November, very important day, 1930. But Menelik II was crowned the 3rd of November, 1889. So even when the emperor was crowned, interestingly, even when the emperor was crowned, he was literally crowned going into, if my addition is correct, the 41st anniversary of the coronation of Menelik II. It's a deep science because even prior to that, the day before his coronation, the emperor unveiled a statue of Menelik II. The day before the emperor was coronated, before Haile Selassie was coronated in 1930, the day before, which is the 1st of November, then Haile Selassie unveiled a statue that he erected of Menelik II, the great Menelik II. He did it the day before he got his full official coronation. And at his coronation, obviously, when the sun set, we would have gone into the anniversary of the 41st anniversary of the coronation of Menelik II. I mean, the mathematics and numbers is a very, very key thing because it's not by no mistake. Even if you Google it, I've seen different dates, but I've seen the 19th. But I think the more outstanding date, as I say, you can Wikipedia it if you want to. The birthday of Menelik II is the 17th day of August. So we all know the 17th day of August is a very important day, as the 17th day of August represents the Earth Day of Marcus Messiah Garvey. Marcus Messiah Garvey's birthday is the 17th of August. So Menelik II, interestingly, would be sharing birthday with Marcus Messiah Garvey. So again, there's another spirit there because Marcus Messiah Garvey is a part of this whole dynamic here as well. You know, again, the 1st of March and even going on to the 21st day of March. The 21st day of March is the spring equinox. So, you know, the Congress celebration, if we go into the midst of it, the Congress celebration, we speak of 7 nights of Bingi, but at that time it's 21 nights. So that went into the spring equinox, which in itself is a new year again. Now, according to the history, that was the same day that Menelik II, even the army of Johannes, before he got the crown, that's a deep science, because Menelik is the southern king. Menelik brought the crown back to the south. Menelik brought the crown back to the south. Because the crown, the Ethiopian kings were in the north, you know. All Johannes and them man is Tigray and a lot of them from that part in the northern part, while Shoah was in the south. And Menelik II was given the opportunity to inspect the army of Johannes. And many ones consider that when that happened, it was like some sort of sign that Menelik will be taking the crown to the south. You know, he didn't just take it and run with it at that time, you know, but it was just symbolic of what would have happened in the future. You know, Sahale Mariam, that's Menelik II. That was done on the 21st day. All of that was done on the spring equinox. And yes, eventually the crown came to the south. That's why in astronomical terms, we like to speak of the southern crown. the southern crown belonging to the Archer, which is the most southern constellation in the ecliptic belt. So the south and the crown come into the south for the southern king, which is Haile Selassie, is so very important because Menelik is like a father, you know. Menelik is like a father to Haile Selassie in a father figure sense, although he had a father in Ras Mokennen, who even passed on when the emperor was quite young. Still symbolic without mother and father because mother passed on since he was about 1, 2 years of age. So I'm just highlighting the 21st day of March again. So the Battle of Adwa is not by any mistake that the Battle of Adwa 1st of March is directly related to our Congress 1st of March celebration order. Now again, one could really take a look and see such similarities, nothing really to run from. It's just the truth. If you observe Menelik II, he is his head is ever wrapped. He always has that monkly type cloth. I don't expect King Emmanuel to put on a cowboy looking hat, no offense to Menelik, really. Even in the crown, Menelik's head is ever wrapped, always covered. You understand? Again, born the 17th day of August, same day of the prophet. You understand? And at the same time, the emperor show you clearly what's going on with the Menelik II here, as his statue was unveiled the day before the coronation of the emperor, which is the day before the anniversary of the coronation of the great Menelik II here, the leader in the Battle of Arawa. It is said that Menelik II passed. Hear this now. Menelik II passed. Some say the 12th, some say the 13th of December, 1913. Here when Menelik leave, when Menelik leaves, 1913. That's when Menelik leaves. He leave in 1913. Remember a few weeks ago, man, this big discussion about when King Emmanuel born, which date. All kind of theory, but I think the main science is that he came in 1914. So Menelik leave in 1913, and King Emmanuel come in 1914. You understand? And as I said, still, it depends, you know. I want to have to believe he's a Black Christ. I tell you, King Emmanuel is a mystic human being. You don't have to, it's up to you. Nobody forcing nothing about nobody. True. There are many mystic people that trad with us. So somebody's Menelik or somebody's Rasmussen into it. You see people just get very touchy with certain things and get frightened. Somebody's Empress title, somebody's somebody else. But I'm just showing you within the mystics, that's to show you, the authority of the Black Christ. And here man say Emperor Emmanuel, no joke business going on here. And at the same time, as we said, prior to Menelik II, we had Emperor Johannes. Now, Johannes means John. You understand? Now, everyone knows that within Bobo Shanti order, the concept of the Trinity stands prophet and priest and king. And of course, prophet is Marcus Messiah Garvey. Priest is the Honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards, while king is Emperor Haile Selassie I. So prophet and priest and king stand just as seen in all cosmic and form and even constellations. But Marcus Messiah Garvey symbolizes also the John the Baptist character highlighted, of course, in the Night of the Black Tiger. And John the Baptist, the science of Jesus. You know the science of the Jesus, yeah? John, Emmanuel, Selassie, and us. J-E-S hyphen U-S, us, just us. So that's what it is. John, Emmanuel, Selassie, and us. Just us. All right, little science and etymology there for you. Just us. But I'm showing you now that when you look at the lineage of the Ethiopian kings, it was John, which is Johannes. John is Johannes, Menelik, and Emperor Haile Selassie the first. Now we're saying Menelik the second. Well, I am saying Menelik the second, and let me be clear with how I put my language to it. It is obvious that there is a relation within the spirit. Let me put it that way. It is obvious. So I'm not going to say Menelik is King Emmanuel. That means very precise statements. I'm very careful with how I say things. And who is the reincarnation of? You gotta still be careful because we speak of Idi Amin and Marcus Garvey since we start to get into the science now. And once we tell you Idi Amin is the reincarnation of Marcus Garvey. Now listen, I'm not the reincarnation specialist, but from my understanding of a reincarnation, a person would leave the physical structure and the spirit and soul of that person would deal with a new, at least the soul would go into a new human being. Because the soul is really you, not even the spirit. That's the next story. But anyway, but the real you would go in someone else and come out afresh. Now, what I'm saying, Marcus Garvey, at the birth when Idi Amin was born and a young man and doing this thing, Marcus Garvey was still amongst us that we see with our eyes, because even Marcus Garvey, that we never really go to the depths of that. Well, Marcus Garvey didn't leave this plane like no regular human being either to it. Yeah, we know that. We speak of it, but to go deep into it. But anyway, the point is, when Marcus Garvey was around, Idi Amin was around, same time. So reincarnation may not be the precise term. You understand me? To if you want to say describe that unique spiritual connection between those two human beings, right? So, but my point is, it is obvious that there's some spiritual connection between the Honorable King Emmanuel and Charles Edwards VII and the Edward VII too. Remember, Ras McKinnon went to the coronation of the Edward VII with the cross, who was sick and he brought him back to life. I mean, especially if you study chivalry, man. I mean, come on, especially if you understand, who's the Grand Master. You understand? Especially if you watch the documentaries, Haile Selassie Mason, and that's a question, that's not a statement. Especially if if you understand the vibes, man, you could pick that up for sure. Edward VII, no way you up to it. Not the man there in England, man. Charles Edwards VII. So really now, just us, John, Emmanuel and Selassie, Johannes, Menelik and Selassie. That's how the kings were ruling. It was King Johannes, King Menelik, and King Selassie. John, Emmanuel, Selassie. Johannes, Menelik, Selassie. In the same order. J-E-S. Marcus Emmanuel Selassie. J-E-S. John Emmanuel Selassie. Johannes, Menelik Selassie. Just us. So, yeah, man. See you, man. Give thanks to the Battle of Arawa, an interesting name. Celebration on the same day, the 1st of March. Now, you see, let me tell you, this, what you hear, is the opinion of the Honorable Priest Isaac, and not the opinion of another, unless they tell you it is theirs. And I say that for specific reasons. because there are many that would be of the same order that I am of, that is not in agreement with the concept that I just explained. But I honestly believe it's undeniable. So, heart the celebration, to give thanks for the Black Christ in flesh, give thanks for all good doings, give thanks for all good sayings. You know, as I said, heart the celebration, looking forward to bringing more works and vibration to you, the people. And of course, even at this Lenten time and Lenten period, you understand how it is. You keep the faith and you keep it strong. Yeah, King Selassie, Jah Rastafari.